Please be seated. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite Mr. Chris Tobin, the representative of the Darug people, to offer the traditional welcome to country. Mr. Tobin.
Thank you. Budri Molunawul, good morning, and welcome to the lands of the Wallamedigal. I belong to one of the local Aboriginal families of the Darug people, the traditional custodians over this part of the country. I wish to thank the University for their acknowledgement of us and for the invitation to welcome you all here this morning. That acknowledgement is important for our people and much appreciated, particularly by our elders. Education is highly valued in Aboriginal culture too. Traditionally, our knowledge meant survival, and our elders are accorded great respect for their accumulated wisdom and experience. My family descend from Yarramundi, a respected elder and cleverman of the Burruburungal clan during the early years of colonisation. He saw that our survival in this new world could best be secure if we could learn more about it. As such, he enrolled his daughter Maria into the Native Institution, a school set up in 1815 by Governor Macquarie himself, offering formal education to Aboriginal children. Maria studied there for several years and used her newly acquired skills to lobby and ultimately secure some land for herself and her family out along the Richmond Road. Other Aboriginal families soon joined them, and it became known as the Blackstown, where present-day Blacktown gets its name from. We are very proud of her, as I'm sure your families are of you here today, and with good reason. Your progress progresses us all. Your advancement is our advancement. Now, that was perhaps more readily understood in traditional times when camps were smaller and clans abided by strict sharing laws. It meant the food that you brought back into camp got distributed throughout the rest of the camp. Your efforts and good fortune were literally nourishing the rest of the community, and you in turn were looked after by them. Yes, we can live quite beautifully when we get clever about it. Our Aboriginal ancestors certainly did in many respects, and I use this occasion to offer themselves to you as a benchmark or a model on how good to expect your lives. Because when Captain Cook arrived here a little over 240 years ago, he described the people he encountered at Botany Bay as one of the happiest people he'd ever met in the world. They had nothing, he wrote, but the tools that they carried. They made shelters from the bark of trees without cutting them down, and harvested food from the earth without tilling the land. In traditional times, everyone was accorded rights to the country or clan area where he or she was born into. So there was no homelessness, and no rich and poor either. Everyone had pretty much the same amount of gear, what you could carry. We had no history of slavery or empire building. There were no armies or jails or even police. People cooperated to collect the resources that were needed, and then they were shared out according to strict Aboriginal law. Our lands were maintained in their natural state, rivers were clean and unpolluted, with people drinking out of them as they have done here for the past 20,000 years. Now remember, this is not an ideal, this is normal life, or was. And there's no reason really why we should expect less for ourselves and our children than what our ancestors enjoyed. Admittedly, there's a lot more of us now, so we've got to get much more clever about it. That's where you people come into it. So I would say to you, expect great things from your life and do great things. There's still a lot of great magic in the world. And I think together we could probably bring this country back to a healthy, happy and just place that it once was, and a future that's worthy of our children. We can all do our bit. I'll do mine now by getting off and letting you good people graduate. I just want to say congratulations to all of you and all the best in our collective futures. Thank you. Yano.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to introduce the Chancellor of Macquarie University, the Honourable Michael Egan. Mr. Egan.
Thank you, Chris Tobin, for your welcome to country. Well, graduands, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and I see we have quite a number of tiny tots here with us today, and also a few little babies. In fact, there's one gentleman up there with a little baby, and he's obviously ready to make a quick exit if the baby starts to make too much noise. Well, now we have a hard and fast rule, sir. If a baby starts to cry, doesn't matter how loud they get, you stay where you are, you're not allowed out. None of us are going to be annoyed by hearing a baby cry. I've heard worse. I was a Member of Parliament for 25 years. And in any event, we've learnt from... Now, you're not allowed out either. Can you come back and sit down? We've also learnt that if a baby cries during a graduation ceremony, they come back within 25 years to get their first PhD. So I think some of our newly minted PhDs down here today have probably made a noise during a graduation ceremony in years gone by. Well, it's my very great privilege as Chancellor of Macquarie University to preside at this important ceremony today. Now, I hope today will be a very happy and a very memorable occasion for all of our graduands. But it will only be a happy day if you all relax. Now, some of you look relaxed, but some of you look quite nervous and apprehensive. There is nothing to worry about. You have all passed your exams already. The very worst thing that can happen today is that you, when you're up here on the dais, you trip and fall over. That has happened before. Don't worry, it actually makes the graduation. And if you do fall over, we'll just pick you up and send you on your way. So please relax and make sure you enjoy the occasion, because you do deserve to take pride, great pride, in your graduation. Completing a degree is never easy. You need an intelligent and inquiring mind, you need determination and perseverance, and you need to make many sacrifices. So welcome and congratulations to each and every one of you. Today I also want to welcome, and especially welcome, those of you who are sitting behind, behind our graduands as their invited guests. Because if you think about it just for a moment or two, you've all obviously done very well too. The very fact that you're here, the fact that you've been invited by one of our graduands to share one of the great days of their lives, is proof positive that you've been very important in their lives and the successes that we celebrate today. So mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, cousins, sons and daughters, grandmothers and grandfathers, friends, husbands and wives, partners, boyfriends, girlfriends, lovers, or whatever you are, congratulations and thank you for joining us today and celebrating this great occasion with us. Now, I don't want you to think either that observing today's graduation is the end of your role. I have another important service for you to perform for our newest graduates, as they will soon become. I want you to make sure that the degrees they receive today are never ever put in a bottom drawer, but are always proudly displayed in a position of prominence. In other words, if our graduates are too shy or self-effacing to proclaim their own success, you make sure that you do it for them. Now, the ceremony that we're about to participate in is one of the world's oldest social rituals. For centuries, graduates have been donning robes just like the ones our graduands are wearing today, and participating in ceremonies just like this one. Indeed, there are some 50 universities in the world which can trace their history back more than 500 years. Macquarie, of course, is relatively young. We're only 49 years of age. But in those 49 years, we have come a long way. We now have more than 145,000 Macquarie graduates living in more than 140 countries. Macquarie is a very modern and outward-looking university. We're regarded as one of Australia's leading research universities and are currently extending our research as we are our course offerings and facilities. We're always trying to engage with the world around us. We've forged strong alliances with the community and with industry and are keen to establish more. On your way here this morning, you may have seen our relatively new Macquarie University Hospital. I think it's just almost 3 years old, which is used not only for its primary purpose of treating sick people, but also it's used by the students and academics in our also relatively new School of Advanced Medicine. We are, by the way, the only university in Australia which has for its medical faculty or school its own private hospital. A number of universities in the United States do, but we're the only one in Australia. You may also have seen our new library, which was opened, I think, just early last year, and which I think really is the envy of every university in the land. And also our new Advanced Hearing Hub opened only a few months ago, which is a world-leading institute dedicated to advances in hearing, speech and language science. So we're looking forward and we're on the move. We want Macquarie always to be a leader in teaching and learning and a leader in the accumulation of knowledge and understanding. In other words, an ideal community of scholars. And graduands, in just a few minutes, it will be my very great honour to confer your degrees upon you and welcome you as lifelong members of that community of scholars we proudly call Macquarie University. Thank you.
Chancellor, I call on Mr Rodney Lane, who's graduating today with a Doctor of Philosophy, to speak on behalf of the graduating group. Mr Lane.
Chancellor, members of the University, fellow graduates and guests, speaking on behalf of the Human Sciences graduates of 2013 is not only an honour but a challenge given the diversity of university experiences that we've all had. There are, however, a number of things that we have in common. Most Human Sciences graduates, for example, will be moving into helping professions where we'll be focused on making the world a better place. We have amongst us future early childhood, primary and secondary teachers, speech pathologists, audiologists, just to name a few professions. As a group, we're going to be helping children to hear for the first time, inspiring within school students a passion for inquiry and creativity, and supporting those with speech difficulties to communicate effectively. These are indeed amazing opportunities. What I'd like to encourage you to think about today is how you're going to use the knowledge and skills that you've gained at Macquarie to make a difference in your chosen profession. I'll return to this theme shortly, but firstly some background about myself. I'm sure one of the reasons that I've been invited to speak to you today is that I have a long connection with Macquarie as both a student and a staff member. Since 1990, I've spent 10 years studying here. The first 5 years I spent completing a BA Dip Ed with honours. I then taught in secondary schools for 10 years and returned to Macquarie as a staff member in 2006 and part-time PhD student in 2008. I share this somewhat boring background with you because this got me reflecting on what I'd achieved from a decade or more of studying at Macquarie. So I started doing some calculations. If you're graduating today with a Bachelor of Arts with a Bachelor in Education or similar 4-year degree, you'll have spent approximately 4,320 hours listening to lectures, attending tutorials, reading journal articles and completing assignments. If you add a master's degree to that, for example a master's in applied linguistics or educational leadership, you have clocked up an additional 1,500 or so hours studying. You can add even more to that if you've just completed a PhD. And of course, I'm assuming that you all followed the Macquarie workload model dutifully. 9 hours work for every 3 credit point units studied. I know you all did that. And yes, I realise that life is not all about completing assignments and attending lectures. Over 4 or 5 years of study, you'll have also consumed about 1,800 cups of coffee, catching up with friends or agonising over those same assignments. Those of you, like me, that need 2 cups of coffee a day will have consumed more, just over 3,500 of those cups of coffee. And to be honest, you probably spent about 1,000 hours asleep in the uni bar or the library, so we need to take that into account as well. That aside, almost 6,000 hours over 4, 5 or 6 years is a lot of time to spend studying. Surely, we should all be really good at doing something by now. This got me thinking about some research that I'd read about recently and the 10,000 hour rule. Now, if you've read Malcolm Gladwell's best-selling book, The Outliers, you'll be familiar with this rule. In a study conducted in the early 1990s, Anders Ericsson, a Swiss psychologist, and 2 colleagues investigated the requirements for developing expertise in a particular area. They found that excellence in performing a complex task required a critical minimum level of practice. 10,000 hours practice was required to achieve the level of mastery associated with becoming a world-class expert in just about anything. So here's your challenge. Now that many of you have already clocked up around 6,000 hours practice in your chosen field, how are you going to develop your expertise from here? What contribution or difference are you going to make using the knowledge and skills that you gained at Macquarie, and what is your legacy going to be? And look, I'd love to provide you with the answers to all those questions, but I'm trying to answer them myself. Macquarie's given us all a fantastic start in developing the required knowledge and skills to be able to make a difference. It's now in our hands to turn this into a benefit for not only ourselves, but the wider community. And it's important to remember that you don't need to become a world expert to make a difference. What's important is that we follow a path that's consistent with our values and that we follow it with passion. As graduates of the Faculty of Human Sciences at Macquarie, we're all well prepared for this challenge. Today, however, is not only an opportunity for us to look forward and think about our goals and passions, but also an opportunity to thank those that have helped us get to this point in our lives and academic careers. This includes family, our friends, uni lecturers, PhD supervisors, and tutors. On behalf of the graduating students of today, I would like to thank you all for your patience, tolerance, and support. To conclude, I'd like to say to my fellow graduates, congratulations and very best with your future. Make the most of the head start you've been given with your 6,000 hours practice. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Rodney. That was a great address, and I'm sure everyone enjoyed it. I especially liked all of those statistics that you gave us. You mentioned how many hours on average were spent sleeping in the library and the uni bar, but you didn't tell us how many hours on average were spent drinking in the uni bar. It seems to me very obvious that you've enjoyed your time here at Macquarie, and I think we're very fortunate to have you here, and I hope we will have you here for a long time to come. Congratulations on completing your doctorate. I take the point you make that it takes a long, long time to become an expert at anything. I retired from my day job just over 8 years ago now, and when I did, I announced that I was going to learn to fish. Now, I still haven't learned to fish, and I discovered very soon after I retired from Parliament that, like everything in life, even learning to fish takes half a lifetime before you're proficient. So that's very good advice. Well, graduands, we now come to the important part of the ceremony, the reason we're here, which is the conferring of degrees. Now, to be honest, it's the part of the ceremony that the only part of the ceremony that makes me a little bit nervous, because I've been assured that if I confer a degree on someone who's not entitled to get it, nothing I can do to take it back. So I want to make absolutely certain that each one of you is qualified to graduate today, that each one of you never missed a class, that each one of you was never late in submitting an assignment. So I'm going to ask one of our Deputy Vice-Chancellors to give me that guarantee. Deputy Vice-Chancellor.
Chancellor, I do certify that all the candidates being presented here today and those who are absent have satisfied the requirements of Academic Senate for the degrees and diplomas they are to be awarded. would all candidates for admission to degrees or diplomas please stand?
That's you. Graduands, in the name of the Council of Macquarie University and by my authority as Chancellor, I admit each of you present and those who are absent to the degrees or diplomas for which you have qualified. Graduates, congratulations.
Please be seated. Chancellor, the graduates at this ceremony are from the Faculty of Human Science. The faculty teaches courses and conducts research about people, investigating the how and the why. It is home to a number of internationally recognised research centres, conducting groundbreaking research across disciplines in areas like cognitive science and early childhood education. Exciting opportunities exist for students and researchers alike. This faculty includes research and study areas in advanced medicine, education, linguistics, psychology, early childhood, cognitive science and health professions. Chancellor, I now call on Professor Janet Greeley, Executive Dean of the Faculty of Human Sciences, to present the graduates and diplomats. Professor Greeley.
Chancellor, I present to you the graduates and diplomates from the Faculty of Human Sciences whom you have admitted to degrees or awarded diplomas. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Dr. Janet Bridgman Brady for a thesis entitled Transition to Management, the Discursive Formation of Managerial Practice. Dr. Evelyn Chung for a thesis entitled Towards Pedagogy of Translation for Lifelong Learning, an Educational Case Study in Taiwan. Dr. Alexandra Isabel Garcia Marugo for a thesis entitled The Texture of Ideology, Demonstrating Bias in the Representation of the Internal Conflict in the Colombian Press. Dr. Pia Gulinkana for a thesis entitled Electroencephalography and Magnetoencephalography Investigation of Audiovisual Integration in Children with Auditory Processing Disorders. Dr. Yoshito Hirazana for a thesis entitled Perception of English Rate by Japanese L2 Learners of English. Dr. Heather Joy Jackson for a thesis entitled Trust Work in Organization Stakeholder Relationships, 3 Discourse Analytic Studies. Dr. Rodney Daniel Lane for a thesis entitled Exploring the Pedagogical Content Knowledge of Experienced Geography Teachers. Dr. Suhaila Binti Sulong for a thesis entitled English Meets Malay Dialects, an acoustic investigation of Malaysian English vowels. Dr. Xia Wan Shu, for a thesis entitled The Temporal Reconstrual of Experience, How Native Speakers of English and Advanced Chinese Learners Select and Interpret Simple Past-Present Tenses. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Master of Translating and Interpreting with the Master of Applied Linguistics, Wenxi Chao. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Master of Translating and Interpreting with the Master of International Relations, Maria Lorenzo Fernandez. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Master of Advanced Translation, Qingyi Kuo. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Applied Linguistics, Manaz Ahmad. Mayuka Fujimoto, who has been awarded the Vice-Chancellor's Commendation for Academic Excellence. Yu Shik Kim. Daniel Martin Skian. Chihiro Huchino. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Master of Applied Linguistics, Teaching English for Special Purposes, Angelina Sui Kian Wong. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Master of Arts, Emily Claire Linar, who has been awarded the Vice-Chancellor's Commendation for Academic Excellence. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Communication Disorders, Neri Ranel Elliott. Caroline Littleton Shepherd. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Early Childhood, Micah Katrina McKenzie. Nagesh Naqshbandi. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Education, Margaret Renee Andrews. Rebecca Jane Hode. Catherine Ann Horsborough. Michelle Marquet, who has been awarded the Vice-Chancellor's Commendation for Academic Excellence. Alison Lynn Sladen. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Educational Leadership, Annalise Helen Churchill. Peter Fitzsimons, who has been awarded the Vice-Chancellor's Commendation for Academic Excellence. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Master of Educational Leadership, Early Childhood Education, Lynette Gale Connors. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Educational Leadership, School Education, Gabrielle Mary Corbett. Sophie McRitchie. Natalie Ann Miles. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Special Education, Woon Chu Chin. Natasha Louise Keroy. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Translating and Interpreting, Eun-hee Kim. Hai-sin Lin. Chung Liu. Rongchin Weng. Sijia Wu. I present the diplomate awarded the postgraduate diploma of Applied Linguistics, Jasmine Rahman. I present the diplomate awarded the postgraduate diploma of Translating and Interpreting, Rachel Jia Guo. I present diplomates awarded the Graduate Diploma in Early Childhood, Rachel Cunningham. Sheena Mary Felton. Nerilee Lysart. I present diplomates awarded the Graduate Diploma in Education, Leila Amini. Harry William Johnson. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts with the Bachelor of Education, Primary, Janine Alameddine. Claire Elizabeth Bradford. Stevie Lee Bryant. Maria Keskanidis. Kathy Nguyen. Paul Allen Parrott. Sabah Faryal Siddiqui. Sibel Semsek. Shannon Claire Voss. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts with the Diploma of Education, Eloise Bluck Madden. Natalie Brown. Vincent Max Desmond. Grayson Charles Dodd. Jessica Pauline Edwards. Elizabeth Nancy Holmes. Lily Huang. Louisa Yacono. Danielle Jeffrey. Chi-Yin Lin. Megan Louise Lloyd. Victoria Marr. Kylie Ann Mason. Stephanie Alexandra Merriman. Allison Jane Peristrello. Lisa Michelle Robinson. Michelle Ryan. Michael Wong Si. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Science with the Diploma of Education. Alexis Rachel Abaji. Nathan Jeffrey Bell. Ada Wei-Chun Thong. Nathan Jenkins. Natalie Lauren Keller. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Narani Avadisian. Chelsea Carmen Button. Eleanor Davies. Emma Moira Drynan. Hyo-jin Kim. Larissa Imogen Lightfoot. Elizabeth Ann Shustovian. Guja Sun. Sarah Ann Wilkinson. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Education, Early Childhood Education, Birth to 12. Shakila Abdul Shakur. Anita Alexanian. Julie Ann Bargaray. Laura Amy Marks. Kimberly Ann Nielsen. Kristen Suzanne O'Keefe. Sung Han Lam. Leah Jean Tansey. Tina Rochelle Waramus. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Education, Primary. Mi-jeong Choi. Samuel Lima de Miranda. Holly Adrian Pritchard. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Social Science, Gabrielle Denise Jacinto. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Speech and Hearing Sciences, Roshni Anne Mary Joseph. Wan Yan Leung. Charlotte Sleeman. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Teaching, birth to 5 years, Helen Abdu. Preeti Karal. Chancellor, that completes this morning's presentation of the graduates and diplomates from the Faculty of Human Sciences.
Well now, that wasn't too bad, was it? That glorious voice belongs to Angela Brewer, and she's singing at all of our graduations this week and next week. So I have the pleasure of listening to her not once but many times. Would you like to hear a little bit more from Angela? Well, be patient. All you have to do is enrol for another degree, and when you come back, Angela will be singing at your graduation. I think she deserves another great round of applause. And so too do our fabulous musicians, our organist over there, Dr. James Forsyth. And hiding behind one of the columns, oh no, here he is, our Chinese flutist, Mr. Chai Chang Ning. And we also have over there a number of our alumni volunteers who come along to make sure that everything goes smoothly for your graduation, so I'm sure you'd like to thank them as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's now my pleasure to introduce our occasional speaker, Mr. Jim Longley. Now, Jim was a member of the New South Wales Parliament for 10 years, from 1986 to 1996, serving as the member for Pittwater and also as a cabinet minister in the Fay government and I think also the Griner government. Just the Fay government. He has a background in economics and finance, and before and after his parliamentary role worked in the banking sector. He has a Bachelor of Economics from the University of Sydney, we won't hold that against him, and a Master of Economics from Macquarie University. And Jim is now also the Director General of the New South Wales Department of Disability Services. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Jim Longley.
Well, thank you very much, Chancellor, for that very kind and warm introduction. The Chancellor and I were we're in the New South Wales Parliament together, and it was a time of significance for both of us, and it is a great pleasure to be here as an alumni of Macquarie University. In commencing, may I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we are gathered today, and I pay my respects to elders past and present. This graduation ceremony that we have just witnessed is important, not only because Macquarie University is my alma mater, but because the qualifications that you have obtained will be significant not only for your own futures, but also for the future of Australia and indeed globally. Macquarie University continues to lead in fields of research and training, and particularly in its Faculty of Human Sciences. One of your major achievements is the ARC Centre of Excellence in Cognition and its Disorders, which is conducting research to further understand and develop unique treatments for a range of disorders such as dementia, autism and reading problems. The CCD is also working with researchers from the Centre for Language Sciences, another Macquarie University research centre located within the faculty. In areas such as computational linguistics, lexicography, audiology and speech science, Macquarie University is a leader. I've also had the pleasure to visit the new hearing hub whilst it was during construction, and in the next couple of months we'll be visiting it now that it is fully completed. This state-of-the-art research facility will bring together researchers from several university research teams and clinical research and professional training teams, again from audiology, speech pathology and psychology. This is a fantastic achievement for Macquarie University and a great contribution to learning and to where our nation needs to be heading. The Hub is also working together with major government research organisations such as the National Acoustic Laboratories within the Australian Hearing Organisation. research and implantation teams from Australia's leading hearing technology company, Cochlear Limited, and major not-for-profit organisations are offering clinical and related social services for hearing disorders, including the Royal Institute for Deaf and Blind Children and the Sept Centre. Both are organisations with which I've had dealings in my role as Chief Executive of Ageing, Disability and Home Care within the New South Wales Government. Community services is forecast to be one of the fastest growing industries for employment growth in our future. With the advent of the National Disability Insurance Scheme and aged care reforms, the workforce is expected to at least double in size. Within the next 5 years, at least 20 to 25,000 new employees will be required to meet the needs of the community with the unprecedented levels of new funding which will be flowing into the disability support system. We are entering a period of major reform in how people with disability, their families and carers are supported to live their lives and pursue their goals. In preparing for the National Disability Insurance Scheme, my division, Ageing, Disability and Home Care's key reform priorities are about creating pathways to mainstream and community-based supports, building choice and control into the system, and supporting consumers to participate in a self-directed system. We are working on legislative reform and working in partnership with the sector to implement these very significant changes. Building a system that supports consumer choice and control presents significant opportunities, but also significant challenges for individuals and their families and carers, for our own organisation and for the entire disability sector. It is a transformational but also an inspirational time. The reforms we are undergoing are changing the paradigm itself, and for the first time putting people with disability, their families and carers right in the centre of the system. We are moving from a system which at the moment derives from government funding to organisations to individuals with disabilities, and that paradigm is being turned on its head so that funding will go to those individuals with disabilities, and they will be the ones who are demanding whatever services they want and need from whatever service providers they choose. For the first time, we will have a system which is truly centred on the people with disabilities themselves. That is a profound paradigm shift for all of us. We are moving to a system which will, within half a generation, we will look back and say, how was it ever otherwise? One of the reasons I think the National Disability Insurance Scheme has captured so much of the imagination of Australia is because not only are we putting our money where our mouth is for the first time, not only are we prioritising people in our community who have a genuine need, but we are recognising that even though there are significant economic benefits from doing this, we are doing it because it is the right thing to do. It is something that is transformational. It is something that will have tremendous challenges. It will be difficult. There will be times of very hard reform which are ahead. But we are doing it because it is the right thing. We are doing it because we are rewriting what we believe it is to be an Australian. Because people with disability will, for the first time, be genuinely included as part of our community. We talk about social inclusion. This will be an opportunity where we can actually demonstrate what it looks like in practice. The qualifications which you have gained today will be instrumental in bringing about that reform. Governments can pass legislation. Governments can, and on this occasion have, actually provided a substantial increase in the amount of funding. My own agency, currently we are $2.7 billion per year, and that basically describes the entirety of the funding for the disability sector in New South Wales. Within 5 years, that will be $6.4 billion. That is a tremendous increase in the amount of funding. But you know what's important? It's not the legislation, it's not the funding, it's the fact that people, our community, will be genuinely inclusive for the first time. And you who have graduated today, you will be the leaders in making that happen. And Macquarie University and other tertiary institutions have a pivotal role in not only providing and developing students and people such as yourselves, but doing so on a far larger scale, because the demand, the need for people who will have your skills and qualifications is far greater than the supply currently is. You will be leaders in transforming our community, and I encourage you and welcome you into that role. It is a great thing that is being done at this point in time. The next several years will be greatly challenging, but it is a great transformation. And even when we know things are difficult, if we know the reform is in the right direction, then we are able to be committed to it, because we know that when we get to a society, a community which is genuinely inclusive, we'll have done something that's important, something that is significant and real for all of us. So as we move to that, what I think is a very exciting future, can I commend all of you in the work that you will be doing in the years ahead? Can I commend you to keep on going in that learning environment, in that learning orientation which you have, because it is an exciting new path, but it is not static. It will be growing and developing and changing as communities need to do. And as we do that, let's see if we can make Australia, the future Australia, the nation we want it to be. A nation which is genuinely inclusive of all people. That is the challenge and the welcome for all of you today. Congratulations. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Jim, and thank you for all those nice things you said about Macquarie University. Now, you probably realise that Jim and I were on opposite sides of the political fence, so it really hurts me to say this, but as you could see today, he's a really good man, and we're very fortunate to have someone with his passion at the helm of one of our major agencies. I really enjoyed listening to Jim today. So as you know, Jim and I both served in Parliament, and we both served in what's in the lower house of Parliament in New South Wales, which is of course well known as the Bear Pit. But in the United Kingdom, those of you who might remember watching the TV series Yes Minister may remember the words of that great fictional civil servant, Sir Humphrey Appleby, who described the lower house of Parliament as the animals and the upper house as the vegetables. So both Jim and I were animals, but I was an animal before Jim. By the time Jim had been elected to the Parliament, I'd left the lower house and gone to the upper house. So I'm one of the few people who can boast he's been both an animal and a vegetable. Jim, thank you very much for being such an important part of our graduation ceremony today. I think he deserves another great round of applause. Well, graduate, this ceremony marks the end of one stage in your relationship with Macquarie University, but it's certainly not the end of your association with Macquarie. From today on, for the rest of your lives, you are part of the bigger Macquarie family, which is our alumni, and part of the network of Macquarie alumni, which now spans the globe. Excuse me. We'll keep in touch with you through our alumni program, which is focused on lifelong learning, lifelong support, and lifelong connections. Our commitment to you is to help you keep in touch and engaged with Macquarie throughout your life. And please do make sure to come back to Macquarie, either to undertake more study, to attend alumni events, or perhaps even just to use our aquatic and fitness facilities. Well, graduates, the award of a university degree carries many opportunities and privileges. But like all privileges, it also carries responsibilities. Believe it or not, you, each and every one of you, can change the world. And you don't have to be a Nobel Prize winner to do it either, because almost everything you do in your homes, in your workplaces, and in your communities matters. and can make a huge difference. The consequences of every effort, every action, large or small, can reverberate throughout society through the decades and indeed the centuries. Even something as simple as a kind word or a kind gesture can often be the spark that ignites a great life or a great career or a great achievement. So as Chancellor of Macquarie University, I charge you to use what you have learned not only for your own benefit, but also for the betterment of the community. I charge you to use the skills and knowledge you have acquired with rigour and integrity, and to commit yourselves to a program of lifelong learning and inquiry. I charge you to recognise the worth and dignity of all people, particularly those who have not had the opportunities that you've enjoyed. I charge you to set high goals and to continue the hard work that has brought you so far. I charge you, wherever you go, to go with all your heart. And in all you do, I charge you to uphold the good name of Macquarie University. Now, graduates, I hope also that you'll always remember the people who have helped you along the way, many of whom, of course, are here with you today. So to acknowledge their contribution and thank them for it, I'm going to ask all of our graduates to now do a couple of things for me. Graduates, would you now please stand? Now I'd like you to put your degrees on the seats behind you so that your hands are nice and free, and I'd like you to turn around to face your families and your friends, and now I ask you to give them a mighty round of applause. Now you can turn around now, but don't sit down because we'll be leaving in just a moment. Here on the dais are also some people I'm sure you'd like to thank, and they're the representatives of our academic community who, of course, have helped you along the way. So please join with me in thanking them. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the official party will now leave the graduation hall through the centre aisle and will be followed by all of the graduates. I would now invite you all to please stand and to remain standing until the last of the graduates have processed out. And then I hope you'll join us in the marquee overlooking the lake for some light refreshments. We even have these days some ice creams for the children and people like me. Well, graduates, I wish you the very best for the future, and in the words of the old Irish blessing, may the road rise up to meet you, may the wind always be at your back, may the sun shine warm upon your face, and rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Thank you and good luck.